Tonight, a Parsons Pond woman has been found guilty in the death of a teen who was walking to school. That story and
organized labor has scored a victory in Newfoundland and Labrador's offshore oil industry.
We all know that offshore workers face unique challenges out there, and for that reason, they need a strong union.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
The Mi'kmaq Cultural Foundation wants to open a large daycare in the center of Stephenville, but they're coming up against a lot of red tape from government approval to get the renovations done.
It's frustrating and it's tiring. We are exhausted.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll tell you what's going on.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin with news from the courts. A woman from Parsons Pond has been found guilty of dangerous driving causing death. Neela Blanchard hit and killed a teenager who was walking to school in Cowhead in September 2017. Witnesses said she was speeding and driving erratically before slamming into the 17-year-old. Blanchard was previously acquitted when the case went to trial in 2019. However, the Crown appealed, and today Supreme Court Justice Thomas Johnson found Blanchard guilty. The 58-year-old woman will be sentenced in September. Turning now to the province's offshore oil industry, workers on the Sea Rose FPSO have voted to join Unifor, Canada's largest private sector union, and now the union is hoping to convince the workforce on Hebron to do the same. Terry Roberts reports.
For the first time in about 2 decades, workers on an offshore oil platform in this province have voted to unionize, though it was not an overwhelming endorsement for Unifor by the workers on the Sea Rose FPSO.
I know that it was not an overwhelming majority, but it was a majority.
Was it over 75%?
I don't believe so.
Unifor sent organizers to Northern Ireland last year while the Sea Rose was undergoing a refit at a Belfast shipyard. The union filed for certification with the Labour Board in October, but it took months to complete the process because of bickering over who was eligible to vote. And that's not the only tension between the union and the majority owner of Sea Rose, Cenovus Energy.
We've heard some rumors out there that the employer is trying to alter terms and conditions of employment, possibly trying to instill confusion in the workers. And of course, we're communicating constantly with our new members to let them know that we're here for them and we're going to continue to fight for them always.
Unifor already represents workers on the Hibernia and Terra Nova FPSO platforms. Now the only non-unionized platform is Hebron, and Unifor wants to change that as soon as possible.
We've been talking to the workers at Hebron, and the fourth offshore installation left. Been talking to these workers, and we're hopeful that people will be reaching out to us, but we're pretty confident that we will see the rest of them coming on board.
The Sea Rose has been producing oil in the Jeanne d'Arc Basin for 20 years. So why did it take so long for the union to gain a foothold? Because the company was matching what workers were earning on other platforms and also paying bonuses, says the union.
But there's more to joining a union than simply wages. There are protections and representation that comes with that. And given the time that we're in, I think there's no better time than now to be joining a union.
The union is anxious to begin talks in order to secure an inaugural collective agreement with its roughly 200 new members on the Sea Rose. A spokesperson for Cenovus says the company has always had an open and collaborative relationship with its workers and that this will not change in this new unionized environment. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, staying with the energy industry now, the independent research has found that the province's offshore holds a huge untapped supply of natural gas. The $4.7 million assessment paid for by the provincial government found the Jeanne d'Arc Basin likely holds as much as 10 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. That's more than 3 times the potential amount of Nova Scotia's Sable natural gas development. The province hopes this assessment will help attract companies.
We'll put the information out there, and and hope to seek that investment. So obviously that's something that'll come later as companies now have an opportunity to see this proven resource and understand that, this gas is here and the floor for this gas is at, almost 10 trillion cubic feet, and that's going to grow.
Well, Premier John Hogan is in Saskatchewan today for a First Ministers meeting, and the Churchill Falls MOU has become a central part of the discussion.
So we'll see with Mark Carney, what is he ready to finance or to help or to push?
Prime Minister Mark Carney has asked the premiers for a list of projects they want the federal government to help fund. Quebec Premier Francois Legault is asking Ottawa to pay for a new transmission line described in the MOU. The 200-kilometre line would connect Gull Island to a hydroelectric complex in Quebec. Premier Hogan says he's approaching Carney with requests related to Beta Nord as well as mining projects. As for the transmission line, Hogan says he's open to anything that will benefit people in this province.
We're happy to talk about that and any assistance that can benefit Newfoundland and Labrador, our ratepayers and our taxpayers. We're happy to talk about that. But it is important to continue with the MOU. I want Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to know we're not taking our eye off that project right now. And as it stands, if there can be further assistance and further discussions to make the project better, great. But if not, the project is a good project in and of itself.
Well, people in Random Island are breathing a sigh of relief after a tense 24 hours over the weekend. An 8-year-old girl went missing from the area Friday afternoon. RCMP ground search and rescue teams and several other emergency service groups searched the woods and coastline throughout the night. Thankfully, the girl was located on Saturday.
We got word around 1 o'clock that she was located safe and sound, which was an ecstatic news for us and everyone searching, and this is exactly the outcome we were hoping for.
About 45 minutes ago she was located safely. So it took a collaboration of 7 teams, and again I just wanted to stress that all these people that stayed up all night last night and walked all night and walked all day today are all volunteers.
We heard about the little girl who was missing, and we saw the search and rescue, so my husband said, it's a good idea. They're right by the church, let's open the church. And that's what we did. And so the church was open through the night for food and fellowship, and of course the facilities that are here.
People in the neighborhood and the communities creating meals and just dropping them off and making sure everyone was taken care of. I think I've been offered several meals just on the way from the command center to this interview.
She wanted to have a campfire, she wanted a shower, and she was a little bit thirsty. She has been checked out by paramedics. She's great. She, tired after walking all night, but she's good.
What a relief. Well, there was a rousing start to Pride Month celebrations this morning. At Confederation Building, the rainbow flag was raised.
As a celebration of and for to us LGBTQIA+ community and history, Pride holds the strength of reaching for our futures. Pride highlights advocacy, activism, and education as we address issues of continued discrimination, violence, healthcare access, and legal rights that affect us as 2S LGBTQIA+ people, both here in Newfoundland and Labrador and around the world.
Pride Month is a time to celebrate love, diversity, and the right for everyone to live authentically and openly. Pride isn't just about colorful flags and parades. Standing up for human rights is about creating safe spaces and amplifying voices. Let's continue to learn, support, and advocate, not just this month, but all year long. It's my pleasure to introduce musical entertainer Carla Pilgrim to perform a song for us. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to sing a couple of songs here today. The first one is a song that I wrote and was released in 2021 in support of the Pride, Pride Month in the community. And it's called Princess Charming. I'm a country girl, I'm a country artist, and I have 3 children, and I just wanted them to hear a song, a country song about their moms. To have visibility in places like that is very important. I didn't have that, and I want to make sure that they know that this is where it came from. I did it, you can do it, I ain't no Cinderella, won't be safe by no charming.
Let today's ceremony remind us of the beauty of diversity and the strength that comes from unity. Let us all use Pride Month and every month to listen and learn and to advocate for a more inclusive and just society, and to build a Newfoundland and Labrador where everyone is free to be exactly who they are.
The 41st Lab Cup soccer tournament finished up yesterday in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Teams A&M and Simply Up North faced off in the Women's Championship, but the game was called without a winner after an injury sent one player to the hospital. In the men's Masters division, the RMS Relics came out on top, and in the men's division, the Hestia Heat took home the championship. But as fans of the tournament told us, the Lab Cup is about more than the hardware.
It's really good, intense soccer. I've been sitting there for 30 years now watching this tournament, and I'll sit for another 30, I guess.
Just when everyone's around the net and it's like you don't know if anyone's going to score or not.
I think the favorite part is seeing lots of old friends that we've been coming here for 42 years, and you get to see fans that have been coming here just as long, and of course seeing all the young people play the game.
I love seeing everybody from the community come together, and the energy in here is so good, and you know, all the competition between the teams, friendly competition, and I think everybody really gets into it. It's a good time for, you know, players and spectators, family members. It's just a good time for the whole community. It's awesome.
My favorite thing is the Lab Cup is I like the goalie. My dad plays goalie. Don't know anything else. Soccer is my favorite day.
The poutine.
Grinding out a weekend, all the battles, all the wins, the losses.
Having all these people come here and just like making new memories every year with like your friends and your family, and always having these teams that you look forward to seeing.
Feel the energy in the building, see all the kids running around, see the teams, how hyper they are, and also see the fellowship that goes on between the teams. It's a great atmosphere, kind of brings Labrador together.
Well, a climate mathematician from St. John's is in Greenland right now working on a way to forecast sea level changes, and he's studying the glacier that supplies the vast majority of this province's icebergs. David Holland is with New York University and has spent years studying the polar regions and the effect of glacial melt on sea level. He's in Greenland with his science and life partner, Denise Holland, who is also from this province. They're at the Ilulissat ice fjord, known as the iceberg capital of the world. Holland says he's seen firsthand the dramatic retreat of glacial ice.
We are seeing a massive change in the ice scape of the planet. Since I started my PhD or finished it in McGill in the 90s, nobody at that time would have said anything to do with ice on this planet will change. That was just 3 decades ago. Right now, today, 50% of the Arctic sea ice is gone. This is a massive reorganization of the albedo, or the color of the planet. So profound changes are happening very rapidly.
I think when you're out here and you're sort of in the middle of nowhere, it's a very humbling experience to see the ice sheet and to realize that we could be doing something that's changing it. It's very, very profound to see it retreat.
Well, that's a pretty cool visual there. A beautiful day for iceberg hunting out there, especially along the northeast coast. Temperature around 19 degrees in Twillingate, Bonavista 21, St. John's seeing a temperature near 22 degrees. This is going to stick around for a little while longer. We definitely have some of that mild air, but we do have some fog patches on the way tonight and some snow for parts of Labrador. I'll break it all down for you coming up a little later.
Well, the province is facing a childcare shortage, and now a community on the southwest coast is waiting on the government to open a daycare. This time, it's in Stephenville, where the Mi'kmaq Cultural Foundation is pleading with government to sign the paperwork to open an Indigenous registered childcare centre. Here now's Colleen Connors has the story.
Being at our daycare homeroom.
2 kitchens, bathrooms, multiple conference rooms, and access to the outdoors. The Mi'kmaq Cultural Foundation staff moved into this large building last week, but applied for the Child Care Capacity Initiative to pay for renos in January.
We need the daycare yesterday, not tomorrow. It's people are needing the service now. And if the government don't speed things up, we're going to be losing people in our community and maybe even in our province because the service is not here and people want to go and work.
Young says the funding is for not-for-profits like his to develop regulated childcare services where the need is great. He says while the regional staff have been quick to help with his applications, he is stuck waiting for months for approval from the minister's office, who sent him a letter on Friday saying his application is under review. Just 24 kilometers away in St. George's, childcare operators face similar frustrations this month with government as they wait to open a registered daycare to accommodate an already long wait list.
We were initially told by one of the employees in the department, give it about a 6-month period for you guys to be open. That was in January. We're coming up on 6 months and we don't even have phase 2 approved by the government.
The Education Department would not do an interview with CBC News, but in a statement said the department carefully evaluates each submission to ensure a thorough and fair assessment process. The process considers overall project timelines, commitments to other childcare projects, and long-term viability of projects. The Mi'kmaq Cultural Foundation was established over a decade ago to preserve and promote the Mi'kmaq culture in the province. They mostly focus on youth and community programming.
We could have affordable, accessible daycare, and not just daycare for these people. We can have culturally relevant daycare, which is something our province is really lacking.
Brockway says the centre would have land-based learning.
We also want them to be able to learn from authentic people in our communities who have grown up on the land, know the value of those things. So we're really committed to offering that type of learning and that type of environment for children.
Which would be...
But there is no guarantee that will happen. For now, Young waits for phase 2 to be approved so he can move forward with renovations and hiring staff. Young says the foundation can afford to rent this big building for the summer months for now, but he's not sure what would happen in the fall. He says there's over 100 people interested in daycare in this area. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Stephenville.
Well, excitement is building over the return of high-level hockey to this province. The Newfoundland Regiment team announced its new head coach and general manager today at an event in downtown St. John's. Former NHLer Gordie Dwyer will take on coaching and GM duties for the team. And with Dwyer now locked in for those positions, the team is turning its focus to opening night of the 2025 season. Mike Moore has that story.
Our new Q team, the Newfoundland Regiment.
The situation has quieted a little since January. The Newfoundland Regiment announced its name, logo, and put season tickets on sale, but there hasn't been much movement since. That is until this morning.
First general manager and head coach, Gordie Dwyer.
Gordie Dwyer is coming over from Bathurst after the team sailed to Newfoundland-based SPS Entertainment last year.
It's been a lot of work behind the scenes, and we knew it was going to come to fruition. But once those papers were signed here with the team transferring over to St. John's and the whole Newfoundland community, we're really excited to be part of it.
Team president Glenn Stanford has been here before. Tickets are still moving, and he believes sales will soon pick up.
I really do believe this week, once the schedule comes out, once you see the results of the draft, hopefully, that we'll have some more excitement happening around here next week.
With the head coach and general manager now in place, there's still a few spots left to fill. But the regular season schedule will be released on Wednesday, and the team will head to the QMJHL draft on Thursday. Mike Moore, CBC News, St. John's.
deeper look at the weather. And Ashley, you've been keeping a close eye on the fire hazard risk in the province. How are things looking now?
Yeah, because I really do think this is going to be, something we talk about all summer long, especially if we continue with these nice stretches of weather. But yes, it's looking a little better out there for parts of the province, particularly up across Labrador. Much colder temperatures, rain, even some snow for coastal areas of Labrador as well. And then even across the island, most places are seeing low right now, with the exception of a couple of areas through central and parts of the south coast as well, where we're seeing moderate to high risk of fire. The fire map, rather. If we take a look at what's going to happen over the next couple of days, though, it doesn't take long for the fire risk to go up, the index to go up, certainly. And over the next couple of days, we are going to see some much milder temperatures and likely that we will see that risk go up. Speaking of smoke, or some wildfire smoke in the upper atmosphere, it looks like for at least the eastern portion of the island tonight, some hazy skies expected. So if you're looking out and you see that orangey red sun, that's the reason for it. We've got that wildfire smoke in the upper atmosphere. That is going to stick around for most of the night and into tomorrow as well. So likely going to see some hazy skies with that through the day, but eventually we will see that clear. But for now, this is what the weather picture is looking like. We've got an area of low pressure to the north. That's what's bringing some of that wintry weather to parts of the coast. Otherwise, the chance of some showers. And then we've got another area of low pressure to the south. That is really not going to affect us for the most part. We may see some showers with that for the east, but that's about it. Overall temperature is still a pretty lovely night out there, 20 degrees in St. John's. Areas through central seeing temperatures in the upper teens. Now, those of you in onshore winds along the south coast, very different story. 7 degrees right now in Burgeo with lots of fog as well. And then most of Labrador into the single digits with the exception of the southeast. Cartwright and Mary's Harbour sitting between 10 to 14 degrees. So if we take a look at most of the cloud cover up across Labrador, most of us seeing some clear skies for now anyway, but that cloud cover moving in for the east. And then take a look at the south coast. I thought this was really interesting on the satellite and radar today. It looks like there are some gravity waves happening along the southern areas of the island. You're socked in fog, so you're likely not seeing any of it, but pretty cool to see that on satellite. Taking a look at what's going to happen as we head through tonight, generally just looking at that onshore flow, which means fog, at least fog patches along with some drizzle along the south coast. That will happen for the Avalon as well. Up across Labrador, generally unsettled tonight. Chance that we'll see a few flurries for the north coast. But that is about it. Your temperatures tonight will be the coldest for the north coast, sitting below zero. Otherwise, between 1 and 5 degrees for most of the Big Land, and then across the island, anywhere from 4 to 10 degrees. The warmest temperatures will be east. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we'll start a little cloudy with those fog patches, but by the time we get into the afternoon, it should actually be a beautiful day. Northern Peninsula, likely some more cloud cover lingering for you, and most of Labrador will see unsettled conditions to start the day, and then should stay cloudy and maybe even improving as you head towards the evening hours for the west. That will be short-lived, though, because you'll see another round of showers move in late day and into early Wednesday morning. Now, temperatures tomorrow are going to be quite nice. You're looking at daytime highs in the upper teens or low 20s for most. Again, the exception, south coast, temperatures a tad cooler, only about 10 to 12 degrees for your daytime highs. With those winds out of the southwest, they'll be gusting anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And again, another beautiful day along the northeast coast, 23 degrees in Twillingate tomorrow afternoon. Different story again, though, for Labrador coast, single digits, but from the Lab West through to the southeast coast, you are looking at temperatures in the teens. But again, some showers to start the day. We'll talk about the long range forecast when I come back in a little bit.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. Well, the vast majority of the icebergs we see along our coast this time of year come from Greenland, carved out from the giant glaciers there. Changes to those glaciers can affect us in many other ways, too. That's what David Holland has spent years studying. He's a mathematician and climate scientist with New York University, but he began his life here, growing up in St. John's and graduating from Memorial University. He's on an expedition in Greenland right now with his science partner and life partner, Denise Holland. And they both join us now from a base camp on a glacier there in Greenland. David and Denise Holland, thank you so much for being here.
Caroline, thank you for having us.
Well, you know, it is absolutely amazing that we can connect with you in such a remote area. Can you describe for us where you are right now and what it's like there?
Okay, we are in Greenland at the Ilulissat Ice Fjord, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But specifically, just to the side of Denise, is the Jakobshavn Glacier. That's the fastest moving glacier in the world. And in the last 20 years, it's undergone incredible retreat from to Denise's side over there to about 20 kilometers over there. It started 20 years ago. And warm waters from the North Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf Stream, have been coming into Greenland, having a big impact on the ice.
You say the fastest moving glacier. When I think about glaciers, I don't think about them being fast moving. Can you talk about what you mean there in terms of fast moving glacier?
So this glacier, we have radars and time-lapse cameras. It's moving 30 meters a day. So it's maybe you can just catch the calving front if the white contrast is not so bad off the side there. And since we've been here, how many times has this broken off?
It's broken off about 3 times since we've been here.
You say there's a lot of pieces breaking off. I'm curious, I mentioned about the icebergs coming from Greenland that we see. Would the ice that's breaking off that you're seeing there be where those icebergs originate from?
Yes, many that we see in Newfoundland come from this fjord. You'll see them in Twillingate and sometimes in the Narrows of St. John's Harbor. And they think that the iceberg that brought the Titanic down probably came from this fjord.
It's kind of amazing to think that you are standing in an area where our icebergs come from.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the work that you're doing in Greenland right now?
We're trying to make actually a forecast for sea level. For instance, on your smartphone, you can just look up a forecast for the weather, which actually works quite well here. We're trying to build a forecast for the sea level of the planet, and the largest uncertainty is the ice coming from Greenland and Antarctica falling into the ocean and raising sea level. So that could be several tens of centimeters this century, or it could be a meter or meters. It's so uncertain. In the past, massive collapse has happened on the scale of a century of several meters. So we know such things can happen. And we're here doing basic research. I don't know if you can see a white radome behind me. It's a radar that can detect subtle ice motion. So we're putting all these observations together to try to build a mathematical formulation, hence a forecast of sea level.
Sea levels are, huge deal for Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly the island portion of the province. Sea levels, coastal erosion, big concerns. How does the work you're doing there connect with what we are experiencing already on the island and what we expect we'll experience in the future in terms of coastal erosion and sea levels?
Certain parts of Newfoundland are very susceptible to sea level. I believe along the southern shore, maybe certain parts down there are beginning to flood already, as are certain parts of the eastern coast of the United States. The whole factor of how much sea level will change where and by how much is complicated by a handful of factors. There's the melting of the ice into the ocean, but there's also other effects in the climate that are changing. You can imagine wind direction changing will change the amount of water blowing towards the coast. Also, the water temperature is increasing. It's setting new records around Newfoundland. That leads to expansion of the water and an increase in height. And there are other effects, curious ones, which is a surprise to me. The gravity effect. Greenland here behind us, this massive ice sheet, about 4 kilometers thick, has its own gravity field, of course, and as it disappears, it changes the gravity field distribution around the world, and hence sea level.
It has its own gravity field.
Yeah, it's that big. It's that ice sheet. The harbor is about 100 kilometers to my right. The ocean in Greenland is 6 meters higher than it should be because the gravity of Greenland is pulling the ocean toward it.
And David, if I could ask you a personal question, the work you're doing, it's pretty incredible stuff, complicated, big implications. And I'm wondering about your interest in this field, in the mathematical field, in climate change and climate science, where that came from, and if there's any connection to this province.
Yeah, so it's remarkable you asked that. When I look over to the side here, I see all these giant boulders and with precariously little boulders on top of them. And how did that all happen? Well, a glacier was here 20 years ago and retreated. And my most profound memory, perhaps as a child, is every summer our parents would take us to Butterpot Park. And all of that landscape with massive boulders just everywhere, that really set me on a quest to try to understand that. And I've ever since been following that.
Well, David and Denise Holland, it was lovely speaking with you from Greenland. Amazing that we can connect with you from there. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Well, as you heard Ashley talk about, the fire hazard risk is now listed as low for most of the province, but much of the Northeast Avalon remains under a fire ban. That ban will be reevaluated tomorrow and could be extended or lifted. But Fire Chief Fred Hollett says conditions are still quite dry.
We saw it coming with the lack of snow cover and the way the winter was. Things just dried out a lot faster, and that's what's happening again now. This morning, if this weather pattern holds today, the forest dries out just as fast as the line of close. So it's a bad situation. We, the Northeast Avalon Chiefs, not limited to us alone, but a number of other areas as well. We have a significant wildland-urban interface. That's the wildland fire coming into the urban areas, the built-up areas. We have significant risk in Portugal Coast, St. Phillips, as do other areas in Northeast Avalon. And the fire bans are what we need to do to take some measures to reduce risk and prevent fires from occurring. I believe in climate change. I just look at the winter that we had. I mean, what happened to the snow? I'm a snowmobiler, and I didn't get to go anywhere this year. I got one trip, and myself and my buddies who do that wondering why we own snowmobiles anymore. But so things are changing, and this change that we're seeing within the environment and the impact to the forest lands and the impact to municipalities, I don't recollect it happening like it is now. Years back, I don't ever recall the heightened concern that we're seeing today based upon what's actually happening. If there are any questions at all with regards to should I do something, should I not do something, get on the telephone, phone the fire department, phone the municipalities, phone forestry, and they'll tell you exactly what's going on.
Well, staying with fires, multiple townhouses were engulfed in flames on Blackwood Place in St. John's on Saturday morning. A neighbor noticed the fire burning and alerted the people inside. St. John's Regional Fire Department Platoon Captain Ed Sears spoke with reporters at the scene.
All we know was that a lady noticed a fire on the outside. She went to the door and advised the homeowner there's a fire on the side of her house. And she said in a matter of seconds, when she walked back around, the whole side of the house was well. The residents didn't even know their house was on fire. No, they were alerted by a neighbor. Everyone knocked on their door and advised them there's a fire on the side of their house. So they weren't aware of what was going on outside, but they got out pretty quick. St. John's Regional Fire Department received multiple calls actually over 911 at approximately 10:40 a.m. this morning. saying that there was a residential structure fire at number 48 Blackwell Place. Our first arriving engine from Central Station was on scene within 8 minutes. Upon arrival, they were faced with heavy smoke and fire at number 48, which looked like it was after getting into the second unit that was already damaged from a previous fire. We were advised by the homeowner that everybody had been out. The crew went in then to the third unit. There was a lady here needing assistance out on home oxygen and safely removed her. How many people were in the home when the fire started? So the original home number 48 was 4 people living. Of course, was known in the second unit where that was pretty much already had another fire in the past. And there was one lady again on home oxygen in the third unit. They needed some assistance getting out, so as a precautionary measure, we removed her from it. Any pets or animals involved? Not that we've been involved at this point. There's nothing we know at this point. Only thing that we do know that it appears we started on the outside. Okay. Where we would be unsure of, what the cause was. And once we've been our operations here now in the next while, again, we'll turn it over there and see for the investigation and see what caused. Obviously, the first structure was destroyed. The second one was already damaged beforehand, and you're just waiting to that extension. Yes, when our first truck arrived on scene, initially that was fully engulfed, number 48 was. So that was already well alight, and there was no saving that structure. We focused in on the adjoining structure to make sure that the fire didn't spread too far.
Dozens of classic cars from all over the Avalon converged in Bay Roberts over the weekend. That's where the 36th annual Bay Wheels Car Show is happening. Have a look.
We are looking at a collection of cars from mostly the Avalon Peninsula. We have 58 cars this year, it's the most we've ever had. The first year we started, we had 34 cars.
Wow.
To today, we're just maxed out. It's all we can get in. The caliber of these vehicles that we have on this show today are as good as you could find anywhere in North America. And I just love old vehicles.
We started this car show way back in 1988, and I've been involved ever since, helping organize, and I'm actually officially the treasurer. Sadly, I only got one play toy, which is the car immediately behind me, which is a 1954 Ford Crestline. Car out of Nashville, Tennessee, came to Newfoundland back in the late 70s, and it burned 34 quarts of oil to get from Markham, Ontario to the Newfoundland ferry. We still like playing with the cars personally, and we love doing the car show every single year, supporting the community through our donations from the car show, which go to the Shriners Burn Hospital and the Janeway Children's Foundation, and I could go on, but that's why we do it.
I never served as a peacekeeper myself, but I served as a vehicle tech mechanic when I was in the Army, so I do a lot of the maintenance on our vehicle that we got here. We're involved with helping out the community, so we're doing a food drive for the local food bank here, and get some exposure. We've been talking to a lot of veterans and serving military personnel, and we've got a lot of guys in our association with a lot of different skill sets to help people out. And so that's what we're here for, to try to help the community. I'm a car guy myself, and I call it a disease. And I just love vehicles, and everybody here is pretty much the same thing. They just got a love for cars and anything automotive, and it's just a passion that we all share. And it's nice to blend the two of them together, because I'm still currently serving in the Armed Forces in the Reserves as an instructor with the cadet program. And just can't get enough of it.
We're not restricted to antique and classic. We love to see the younger generation come in with their Subaru that's got, it's been all detailed, like some of the work that we see come from cartoons and these type younger companies. And it's called Succession. These cars are yesterday. Those cars are tomorrow. And you got to have those people to make the show what it really is. And we're open. We've always been that way. We don't say no. We just get 58 or 55 cars and we're full. But if we get a dozen of those, we're happy to. We love to talk to those fellas, right? And talk about our cars, and then they tell us about theirs, right? So it's a new generation, and you got to have it. If you don't have that, you won't succeed.
Well, as we heard earlier, Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Saskatoon meeting with provincial premiers today. In the face of U.S. tariffs, and the nation's top political leaders are discussing ways to strengthen the Canadian economy. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg has the details.
Love is in the air.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford crooning alongside Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. The relationship between the provinces and the federal government hasn't always been loving, but they're trying to make it work, especially as Canada aims to build a stronger and more independent economy as it faces down U.S. threats.
The leadership around this table of developing truly nation-building projects. And this is just the start. This is just the start.
Prime Minister Mark Carney asked each premier to come with their pitches to fast-track infrastructure and energy projects. Smith wants pipelines to move Alberta's oil to the coast and to new markets.
This is not just an ideological argument. It's not just a minor disagreement. Oil is by far the most valuable export for Canada.
But a pipeline would likely need buy-in from provinces along the route, like BC and Quebec.
First, I've been invited here by Mr. Carney, not by Danielle or whoever.
Quebec has historically opposed those projects, but Premier François Legault says they'd look at the proposals.
We need to see what's the economic impact for Quebec, what is the impact on the environment.
The premiers have other projects they want Ottawa to approve or fund. Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador have plans to transport their hydroelectricity to markets in Atlantic Canada and beyond. And Premier Doug Ford wants money for nuclear reactors and to mine critical minerals in Northern Ontario.
We're going to be an energy superpower around the world. Those are our strengths, and we're going to make sure that we deliver that message, and I know the Prime Minister feels the same way.
Carney has already promised to remove any federal barriers to internal trade by Canada Day. Those restrictions have often made it easier to trade with the U.S. than between provinces, costing the Canadian economy as much as $200 billion a year. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, the temperatures have certainly been mild, at least for the last little bit, and it looks like that trend is going to continue, especially as we head through Wednesday and even into Thursday. In fact, some of us are actually going to feel a little bit sticky through the day on Wednesday. So some of that humidity will return up across Labrador. You are looking at your chances of showers sticking around through the day on Wednesday as well. Most of us across the island are going to see some sunshine, but we'll see some cloudy periods move through at times into the afternoon. But Wednesday looks pretty lovely in most cases, with temperatures sitting somewhere between the upper teens and low 20s, even along for the Burin Peninsula. You're looking at temperatures reaching the 20-degree mark as well. The warmest temperatures should be through Central, where you're looking at your daytime high somewhere between 20 and 25 degrees. And then for the Northern Peninsula, your temperatures will be in the teens. Up across Labrador, overall, you are looking at the chances of showers mainly for the north and west, but into the late day, you will see your showers through central and coastal areas. And again, warming back up. Temperatures will sit in the mid-20s. Around Happy Valley, Goose Bay, but hanging on to some of those cooler temperatures for the north coast. Now, as we head into Thursday, that shower chances will continue, at least for the first part of the day, for most of Labrador, clearing into the afternoon in some cases, and then the Northern Peninsula will see some shower activity as well. Overall, another beautiful day across the island. Temperatures up somewhere between 20 and 27 degrees. So again, this anticipating that the fire risk will go up with that. that. And then Labrador, you're back down to the teens, but a decent day for the most part. Coastal areas will see temperatures between 8 to 11 degrees. Long range forecast, it's going to stay mild. Temperatures will stay in the teens overnight, which seems pretty early for this time of year, that's for sure. And overall, looking at temperatures in the daytime highs between the upper teens and low 20s with some shower chances by the time we get into Friday and Saturday. So pretty decent stretch of weather. Hot, just hot through central. And again, some sunshine. Same thing for western Newfoundland with some showers by the time we get into Saturday. And then for Labrador, you're looking at some shower chances here and there, but overall temperatures are warming up and you'll stay in the teens for the west. Our weather photo today taken in the tableland, or of the tablelands. A great shot. Still some snow on the top there. Joyce shared that great shot with us. If you have any weather photos, we'd love to see them. You can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, what a beautiful part of the province, my goodness.
It really is. Blue skies.
Yeah, what a nice stretch of weather coming too. I don't know about you guys, but my garden is just booming.
It's
like
very happy.
Flowers, the things that are blooming right now, it's really looking really great. So I think plants are loving this weather right now.
As are we.
And it's nice to see no frost in the forecast.
That's right. Yeah, because normally we see our overnight lows.
Yeah,
you know, still in the single digits. So.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.
Ashley, it was a beautiful weekend and another gorgeous day today.
Yeah, nice to see some of that rain for parts of the province as well. But yeah, things are going to change as we head through the next little bit. As far as the weather goes for Labrador, coastal areas anyway, seeing some snow, and that will continue tomorrow, but then things will eventually warm up. So taking a look at what's going to happen through the rest of the night, that snow, like I said, potential for the north coast of the island through the overnight, or north coast of Labrador rather. Otherwise, showers will continue for most of the big land, and then just have some fog patches along with some patchy drizzle by the time we get into tomorrow morning, but that should clear for the south coast and the Avalon into the afternoon, turning into a beautiful day. Now, the northern peninsula, you'll likely hang on to a little bit of cloud cover through the day, and the weather will eventually improve for Labrador, with the exception of Lab West. It'll be brief because you've got some more rain on the way through the overnight and into early Wednesday morning. Temperatures tomorrow should sit in the mid to upper teens or even low 20s through parts of central and along the northeast coast. Those winds will be out of the southwest tomorrow, somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour for those of you on the west coast. Now, those onshore winds are going to keep temperatures a little cool for the south coast, only topping out between 10 to 12 degrees for you. And then for Labrador, generally looking at single digits for coastal areas, but from essentially Lab West to the southeastern coast, you are looking at your temperatures in the teens. Now ahead to Wednesday, a little bit humid it will feel. We're also looking at some sunshine through most of the afternoon, temperatures in the upper teens, even mid-20s through parts of central, and same thing for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Otherwise, temperatures are warming up around 21 degrees for Lab City, but hanging on to about 10 degrees for Nain. Long range forecast for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland looks pretty good with those temperatures. Your overnight lows still sitting in the double digits. And looks like some shower chances by the time we get into Friday and Saturday, but overall a pretty nice stretch of weather. It is going to be hot in central Newfoundland with temperatures in the mid to upper 20s through most of this week, and then some shower chances by the time we get into Saturday for western Newfoundland. Now for Labrador, you're looking at off and on showers, temperatures ranging from the teens to the 20s, and for western Labrador, you're going to stay in the teens as your daytime highs. Our weather photo today taken on the west coast. Great shot of the snow still on the tablelands. Thank you so much for that photo, Joyce. If you have any weather photos, we'd love to see them. You can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Beautiful shot. Thank you. And thank you so much for watching.
Good night.